So I was talking this morning to someone about how to get ready for screening of calls and getting ready for researching a candidate prior to an interview. And I thought it might be useful to share this just generally with folks as we think about how to improve the recruiting process. So really, there's some research you do about the potential hire. There's a conversation you have. Typically, you're recording that conversation and then you're using some tool to put that in a CRM or do follow up. So I'm going to go ahead and kind of do a big zoom here. I'm going to zoom in uh, probably another, what do you say? Maybe one more zoom in. Okay. And so the prompt I have is prepare a presentation to make an online meeting more useful by recommending some ways to research a candidate prior to the first screening interview, some tools to record the Team, Zoom, or Google Meet call, ways to get this information into CRM tools you think that you might need, like Salesforce, and to write a short mail to the candidate thanking them for the time and suggesting some action items. So I just wanted to kind of give you some of the tools that I use every day in this kind of scenario. Feel free to reach out to me if you have other questions. But I use ChatGPT, and I'm a premium subscriber to each of the tools I use. They're generally about $20 a month, something like that, so they're not free. And so it made some recommendations when I put the prompt in. It said, here's some ways to research the candidate. Here's some networking sites you can use. Here's some tools that you can use for call recording. And there's some ways to get it into your CRM tool. Otter AI keeps coming up. It's a pretty good tool. It's kind of expensive. Zapier generally is a little bit harder because you're going to have to do some um, a little bit of coding. So, and then it talks about some best practices. It even gives a sample email. So the second tool I use almost every day is Claude. This is from Anthropic, and it does projects. So it says here's some ways you can improve the the meeting that you're having, and then here's maybe the follow-up email that you could do to the candidate, right? And now the one thing about Claude is it's not connected to the internet, so you can't really do search. Then we have Gemini. I'm using, this is from Google. This is the premium version. And again, it gives a similar kind of sort of, here's some tools and things that you could do. And I'll kind of, I'm just suggesting that you look at different ways to think about the tools. Um, I wanted to point out Empower.ai. It's founded by some folks from Invorso. It's a cool company. I use it every day. You really just have to sign up if you go to Empower.ai, EMPWR, and just copy this bot and it can record your meeting. Now, just a note, make sure and check with your IT organization, with your security folks, make sure it's okay to do this, but I'm assuming that you have permission to do these things. There's a couple other kinds of transcription. Otter.ai is probably the best known. It's also one of the most expensive, but it does a lot of things, including it will put your information into um, a lot of CRM systems. And I'm going to give you my current favorite, the one I am using, fairly often with some startups that I'm working with, is called Fathom. Fathom has most of these have a 30-day free trial. It has some pretty interesting settings here. So I can go into Zoom, Google, or Teams, and I can auto-generate actions, which is very cool. And then I can also put those into Slack, well, really into Salesforce, but I can also put those things into Slack. It's got a Chrome extension. It's got a Zoom app. It's actually very, very cool. So I hope that's useful. I also, by the way, just want to show you one that I really do like a lot. It's called InVideo. And InVideo, I put a little prompt in and said, I gave it the same prompt, and then it
For
generated a
that
video
first
for me.
screening interview, record those important online calls, and get all that juicy info into your
Probably not super important to create a video every time you want to, but InVideo.ai does some really cool video creation. Remember, there's probably literally hundreds of tools that do all these things. This is just my point of view here in on September 18th on a Wednesday. And then finally, I put the same prompt in um, for, and if you go here, there's a thing, and this is called beautiful.ai. I created a prompt, and again, I use the same prompt for each of these AI things. It says, how do you enhance interviews? It said, do candidate research, call recording tools, CRM integration. Now, interesting, you got the candidate notion wrong because obviously one of these is a candidate for president, and another is a political activist. So kind of interesting, you got the notion of candidate incorrect, but that's okay. Research checklist, some recording integration. And I did like the quote, though, sincere thank you can make all the difference. It shows you value the candidate's time and effort. So anyway, I hope that's useful. If you want to get a hold of me, just bobrapp@gmail or bobrapp@hotmail. Take care.